Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Well, an uneasy calm continues to prevail in Meghalaya capital Shillong following yesterday's incident of arson in the civil hospital area of the city. Majority of the shops kept their shutters down in the city's commercial hub of Police Bazaar or Khendailat today for hours. The non-cooperation movement called by pressure groups urging government employees not to attend office was also a success. Government offices in Shillong wore a deserted look today following the appeal by the pressure groups. Chief Minister Conrad Sangma, meanwhile, who is leading a delegation to Delhi, called upon chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission and other members of the NHRC today. During the meeting, Chief Minister Sangma gave a detailed account of the firing incident that claimed 6 lives in Mukroh. During the meeting, CM Sangma stated that the Mukroh firing incident was a clear violation of human rights. Now, as things continue to, if we can say, remain volatile, especially in Shillong, some citizens are calling for calm and an end to all the arson and violence. So will normalcy return soon? That's the question that we're asking tonight. Yes, whatever happened in Mukroh was very unfortunate and deserves high condemnation. But can some elements cause inconvenience to people, the general public, and cause loss or damage to public property to vent their anger over the Mukroh firing incident? That's the question that we are asking today. I'm being joined by Ms. Angela Rangat, founder member of Tor and Kam. President of the Shillong Press Club, David Lightflung, will also be with us in a short while from now. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Rangat, to Bottom Line. Well, we have all been witnessing what is happening in Shillong since the Mukroh incident. Of course, there were fresh cases of arson last evening. There are cases of alleged violence, and things look very grim. If we talk about last evening, end of the day, it's Shillong, it's the people of Meghalaya who are losing out in a way. Yes, the incident in Mukroh needs to be condemned, and as citizens, as right-thinking citizens, probably people have to work in a way that actually gets a meaningful justice for the families of the victims. But is that happening? Is that actually happening, or is it something else?
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me, Nabarun. So before I answer some of the questions you've put forward, I think that it has to be put on record that the incident that happened in Mukroh, which is not even a disputed area with Assam, is something not just unfortunate, but it is reflective of a certain culture of impunity that is there in the country, that Assam as a state has also been exhibiting internally, the way they have been dealing with certain cases. And what happened at Mukroh is that it is a sheer display of the kind of impunity and culture of impunity that has somehow taken over our politics and our governance. And we have to remember that it is not only a human rights violation, but it is a violation of the Constitution. We are a union of states. There are very clear constitutional guarantees of how states should operate. And we have to respect the federal structure of our Constitution. And what Assam did was definitely a violation of that relationship with which states ought to be having in terms of jurisdiction, of operations of their police forces, and even, for instance, a department like Forest. So they have breached all of that, and we condemn what has happened at Mukroh. But as you said, while all of us citizens, I think, of Meghalaya, and there have also been voices from Assam condemning the incident, we have to understand that this culture of impunity can be exercised by both the state and non-state actors. You know, this way of behaving where it is about bullying, a larger state bullying a smaller state, and similarly what we witnessed on the streets in Shillong, unfortunately, was supposed to be an expression of solidarity with the people of Mukroh. But the candlelight vigil turned violent, and again it was bullies running riot on the streets, venting out anger on passerbys. And the most shocking of all was the way they entered civil hospitals. Even during wartime, we have countries respecting the Geneva Conventions where you don't touch a hospital. And here we found people, you know, running into civil hospitals, chasing women police. All of this is something that has to be condemned as much as we are condemning the loss of the 6 lives at Mukroh.
Absolutely. We also have Mr. David Lightflung with us. Welcome, Mr. Lightflung to Bottom Line. Well, situation in Shillong has not been the best, as we have seen in the last couple of days, especially after the Mukroh incident. How do you look or assess the current situation?
uh, the current situation seems to be like we're going back again. We're celebrating 50 years of statehood, 50 years of being a full-fledged hill state with a glorious future behind. But the way things are actually unfolding presently doesn't really look that we uh, have a glorious future ahead. We have people who have fought, struggled, bled, uh, and sacrificed their lives to give us this wonderful, beautiful hill state which beckons everybody and of which everyone is so proud of. Unfortunately, all of that seems uh, very far off. It's like in a distant past. We only can reminisce of our glorious days because I'll be honest with you, I am seriously not very happy to identify and say I am a resident of Shillong, especially because while uh, precious lives have been lost far away, uh, not a very long, a distance. It's about say 100 plus kilometers from Shillong, but it takes more than 4.5 hours to get there. Uh, Here in Shillong, there's mayhem, there's chaos, people are being assaulted, government property, private property are being vandalized by miscreants. There does not seem to be any rule of law. The district administration seems to be at its wits' end. On one hand, you have the promulgation of 144, and then the very same authority that promulgates that allows people to gather beyond five. You have people lighting candles in front of a monument of a great martyr that we so much respect and revere. And just right round behind that little park, you have miscreants vandalizing a police booth, which is empty, which is completely inanimate. There's nobody in it. You have an empty minibus that ferry our uniform personnel who always end up facing the brunt. And then you have cheap, petty thugs having the audacity to snatch a fiberglass shield from a woman police personnel, forcing her and her colleagues to run nearby into a military uh, a rest house to take shelter. Can you imagine that a group of slippers wearing hooligans can actually hold a uniform person, that too a woman in what we say matrilineal state, to ransom, forcing them to run away? So is that what you call order? Forget about the law. There's no order, there's no law. The only the only premier government hospital that caters to the most needy of people, that has to shut its doors, turn people who are falling sick, who've come for medical attention, to a maternity and child health, a hospital. Do you call this a civilized world? Is that mourning? Is that mourning the loss of precious lives? Or is that just somebody holding everybody else to ransom while the authorities, since they are the authorities, they just look on? This is ridiculous. 50 years, and this is what we got to show to the world. I am ashamed. I am appalled. I am pained. I am saddened. And I really am angry. So that's what I have to say. That is the mood of most of the people. And I only wish that everybody, gets out of their sitting rooms, get out of their sitting rooms, get out of their cozy comfort, and come to the streets, talk, condemn. You have Shillong is one of the few cities in this country that has, a very proper professional FLS system in place. Every Dorbar Shillong has fixed loudspeakers, faithfully announcing all kinds of announcements. Come take your vaccinations. Come collect your kerosene. Tomorrow the ration shop will open. The gas delivery guy will arrive at this time. And the Rongba Shnongs, the secretary Shnongs, especially where I come from, Laban, I mean, what were they doing then? Can't you announce? Can't you say, hello, people, residents, shopkeepers, everything is okay. Let's get on board. Let us mourn together. Let us feel sorry. But why beat each other up? Why beat innocent people? People coming from offices, students returning after tuition, final exams are happening, and you just beat them up. Journalists getting intimidated. Earlier on today, we had messages in our Shillong Press Club WhatsApp group where some of our young reporters were intimidated by hooligans saying, "Don't shoot us." Arey, you want to throw a petrol bomb? You don't want to be captured on camera? Then don't throw it at all. If you feel that you are actually doing the right thing, you are espousing the cause of the people, you are fighting for the land, then behave like law abiding citizens. If you want to do that, do it. Why take it on innocent people? Is this the way you want to say Meghalaya is a tourism paradise? Please, please, let's stop fooling ourselves.
Very,
Let's not be held to ransom.
very, very strong words there. Uh, as blunt as ever, as blunt and straightforward as ever by David Lightflung. Uh, Angela Rangad, well, passions were running high, people were agitated, people were upset over the incident. No denying to the fact, no denying to the fact, every corner of the state. Uh, Under the circumstances, the government, the district administration definitely could have anticipated that something like this can happen. We saw what happened a couple of weeks or more back during a rally. Uh, do you think the government of the day is also under a lot of pressure at this moment? Of course, we have Chief Minister Conrad Sangma camping in Delhi. He met the Union Home Minister yesterday. A CBI probe will be initiated, called on the NHRC chairman today over the Mukroh incident. Definitely, the government of the day is under a lot of pressure, and probably they did not, at this point in time, want to really act tough on anything that is probably going on in Shillong. Do you think that could be one of the reasons?
Varun, people are angry and sad about what happened at Mukroh. But let me tell you, people are also angry and sad about what happened and transpired on the streets of Shillong yesterday. A lot of focus is being given to the people who were perpetrating the violence, but more focus also should be given to the residents, many of whom have condemned what happened on the streets of Shillong. Now, when you ask me about the government, I think that for just too long, this government has been pandering to pressure group politics. And especially now, it's not that they're just under pressure, they're hedging their bets. The elections are just a few months away. So what they are doing, what they are saying, is not necessarily defending our rights or not necessarily keeping our best interests in mind. They're maintaining postures which they think will benefit them in the elections. And the other thing, let's remember, supposedly the incident broke out because both governments, the Assam government and the Meghalaya government, say that it was about illegal timber felling and illegal timber transportation. Perhaps the government is under pressure because they don't really want to get into the nitty-gritty of that, because they will eventually have to expose this mafia that is involved in resource extraction in this region, whether in Assam or in Meghalaya. We know that it's not just timber, it's coal, it's stones, it's everything. And we know that there is a nexus of political, police, guards, all departments, transporters, check gates. There is a nexus of this kind of resource extraction in the region. And they'd rather focus on something else than actually go after this kind of illegal extraction that is bleeding all of our states.
Absolutely. Mr. Lightflang, as Kong Angela just mentioned, a lot of people, a lot of local residents have also aired their concerns about what has been going on. We have social media flooded with such posts where local residents have, in some cases, even reported to the headman that there could be trouble in the locality, or there are some youths trying to create trouble. So this is something which is welcome. As a society, we are not willing to take this probably anymore. Yes, we are with the victims of the Mukroh Firing Incident, but we say no to damage to public property, we say no to arson, we say no to violence. Do you think, there is a need for more platforms probably to air these concerns in a bigger way? Is that, in the long run, is that the way to tackle such instances?
No, I don't think that. I think there are too many platforms, and social media is one platform that's seriously, buggering up everything, the whole system. People are tigers on social media. They're tigers and tigresses. They say all kinds of things. They call people names. They abuse left, right, and center. Tell them to come out if they feel so strong. Come out of your little smartphone. Come out of your laptop. Come out of your sitting rooms. Come out to the street if you so much care for Shillong. Then come out. If hooligans can take to the streets, then sane people, law-abiding citizens, the intellects, come out. Give these little hooligans a spanking. If the district administration cannot, if the government cannot. And yes, I'm a little curious actually. Perhaps you, Nabarun, or Angela, or anyone else can educate me. When the state government has withdrawn general consent to the CBI to investigate any matter, be it state or central, then how can the CBI come and investigate here? That is a question that you probably, Nabarun, should try and find out. And does it take you to actually go all the way to Delhi to tell Mr. Amit Shah ji, please conduct a central inquiry? Law and order is a state subject, for God's sake. You have the Chief Minister of Assam, Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, saying yes, it was wrong, it is unprovoked firing by our people. You have suspended the officer in charge, the range protection officer. You have transferred the SP of West Karbi Anglong. So you know who's guilty. So how difficult is it for the government of Meghalaya to say, okay, so we know who the perpetrators are. Hand them over. Let them be our guests at Shillong jail and let the law take its own course. Do you have to go to ask Delhi to tell Assam to hand over the perpetrators of the crime?
But again, the entire thing has once again turned into an interstate dispute somehow. In fact, Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has maintained that the crux of the matter is interstate dispute. The Assam CM, on the other hand, has said this has got nothing to do with interstate dispute. So two CMs varying here, but one positive thing in this is,
Precisely.
yeah, yeah,
See, precisely. So two CMs are having a tip. Two governments are having differences of opinion, and and the bigger state, right, prevails, and the little state says, "Oh, so you run to mother in Delhi? Can't you assert your rights, your sovereign rights?" It's as simple as that. So it's two. You see, two elephants fighting, and the grass and the ants are getting trampled. Innocent lives are
I
being
think
lost.
what is
Families,
important is that
families are bellowing and
there has
crying in pain. So when you are having a problem, look, let me be very clear. The mood of the people here is not angry at people from Assam or from anywhere else. No one, no one is angry with
of
people
course.
or
In
any
fact, the Chief
community.
Minister of Assam himself is saying that there has been unprovoked firing. The Assam government is not defending.
Yes,
Assam government, the
yes,
CM
yes,
himself is not defending his corps. Neither he is defending the forest personnel. There is no, for the first time
absolutely.
ever, after any such
Yes,
incident, there is no blame game between states. There's no
absolutely.
blame game.
Even
Assam is
before,
saying
no,
okay,
no, even
yeah,
before, you see, even before our government announced the actions or the reactions to the incident, the Assam chief minister had already suspended and already transferred. Action was taken like this,
absolutely,
right?
okay,
absolutely.
but I think it's
Right?
very important to remember that what happened was a firing, there was a loss of lives, it's a criminal act. So suspending these officials is not enough. They have to be
Yes.
tried by a court of law and they have to be meted out punishment. Now, whether this is going to be done in a fair manner is questionable, and we need an independent inquiry. Now, when something like this happens, when there's a human rights abuse, automatically there will be a kind of a judicial inquiry and all of that process kicks in. So it's irrelevant if the chief minister of
Yeah.
Assam
So
announced that
Assam,
there'll be
what
a
Assam also did
a
is
single
that,
judge inquiry because
yeah,
that is an automatic
yeah,
thing.
what
But
Assam also did is that they immediately also called for a judicial probe, and of course,
like
significantly,
I said, a
yeah,
judicial probe is something that automatically kicks in when there's
yeah,
human rights abuse of this
yeah,
nature. So just
No, it's a
now
normal
stating that
process.
doesn't help.
That's but
But what I
expected.
think is imperative is that, you know, people have to have the confidence that justice will be done. And as they say in law, justice should not only be done, it should be seen to be done. So if both states are unable to prosecute the guilty, there have been instances when, you try these people in a third state to ensure that kind of fairness. And I think that that is something that should be explored. And because, as I said again, just suspension is not enough. Sometimes people are happily suspended. After their period of suspension, they draw the salary for the days of suspension. It's like a paid leave almost. And many times we don't have a follow-up report on what actually happened to those people who have indulged in such blatant acts, criminal acts. And the other thing which I think is important is that all of us are calling for both governments to act responsibly and to do what they have to do as governments. And similarly, while they have to take responsibility as governments, the Assam government and the Meghalaya government, we also have to call on protesters and especially the organizers of protests and rallies to similarly take responsibility for any outcome of such protests, just as the governments have to take responsibility for what has happened.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
I actually, if I can just add to what Angela said, see, at the end of it all, it's the police who's going to face the brunt. Number one, they are the ones who will get pelted with stones and now get lashed with petrol bombs. Then they are the ones who will have to arrest. And then you'll have various people making a beeline to police stations saying, see, they've arrested us. That's not the way. Why do you have to always put the uniform man who's in any case not seriously very comfortably placed? He will have to face the brunt. He will have to face the abuse. He will have to do all of that. All the dirty work is done by the policeman on the street, while the administration will just stand by. And another thing before, we just kind of, we think the thing that has really got into me is that, so, knee-jerk reaction, you ban mobile internet, but we still had that chaos yesterday in the midst of the ban. So what good did it do? You see? So I personally feel this time, I am sorry to say, in a broadcast channel, that I have seen much better administration in the past. This time, the administration seriously, seriously didn't really do its job. I'm very sorry to see that. I know I'm going to make some officers are upset and unhappy, but the fact of the matter is that you knew what was coming, and you just waited
Well,
for it to
as
come on.
end of the day, whatever happened in Mukroh is very unfortunate, highly condemnable, and CBI probe has been initiated. Of course, end of the day, we need justice. End of the day, we need justice for the 6 lives lost, and let good sense prevail, let peace prevail. Last words, Angela Rangat. I'm running out of time.
Yeah, as you said, justice has to prevail. But when we say justice, obviously for the 6 lives lost and for the people of Mukroh. But also justice has to prevail for all of the common people, all of us. We have to remember that post-COVID, most of the people's backs have been broken in economic terms. Another day lost, for a laborer, for a daily wage earner, like yesterday, like today, has just pushed them further into poverty, and this is also injustice.
Absolutely.
So while we are demanding for justice for people of Mukroh, we have to remember that we cannot afford for the streets of Shillong to wear a deserted look, where businesses are shut, people are on tenterhooks about what is going to happen. And look at this, what David was saying. There is a collapse of administration and governance in our state, sadly, because when there were cabs being stopped at Jorabad, the administration did not respond. It was the drivers themselves between Assam and Meghalaya who were trying to make arrangements for the commuters. Where was the administration? And also, why was Assam trying to create more confusion by stopping the vehicles coming into Meghalaya? That has created more confusion, as also this call by the truckers to stop. What we need is to ensure that there is human rights for all, and also that there is protection for everybody. The movement of people, because at the end of the day, the people who get hammered, whether it was at Mukroh, perhaps they were just laborers or farmers going to their farms. Similarly here, if there is bashing on the street, it is the everyday person, the person who's bringing in perhaps goods for our state who may get the brunt of violence. So we have to ensure that good sense prevails.
Absolutely. Good sense should prevail. Thank you so much, Angela Rangad and David Lightflung, for your valuable views on this. Let's hope peace prevails, normalcy returns to Shillong soon, and of course, let's hope that justice is delivered to the victims in Mukroh. That's a wrap of Bottom Line tonight.